everyone, welcome to Gardening TLC. My name is Michelle and we are in one of my gardens today. I live in Northern Illinois Zone 5 and we are going to be installing one of the designs that I did for this garden bed back in December. Last year, this bed was a hot mess. We did a cleanup of the bed, moved a bunch of things out of it, put them in a holding bed, and then it kind of sat all winter and all this spring. Well, I've been gathering all of my supplies to put the design in, which is on this half of the garden bed. So today, let's get to it and let's get it in the ground. This is the hot mess that the bed was at the end of the year. And I'll tell you what, I totally decided that I was going to revamp the bed because it totally got away from me. So a little bit of history about this garden bed. This garden bed is going into its 7th year. It's the very first garden that I put in, and I decided to do this one first because I have a covered porch. I sit here, I like to chill out at the end of the day. So the very first thing I did was I removed all the sod and then discovered that I have really heavy clay. Now I decided to do a little bit of research and I decided to plant what's called clay busters. I had never planted directly in heavy clay. Anytime that we had ever done a landscaping job and somebody had soil like this, we would amend the soil and we would add compost and peat moss and we would create great dirt for them. Well, because it was a larger area, I decided, you know what, let's just do some research, find clay busters, and then we'll plant that. Well, you know what, clay busters get bigger than the tags say a lot of the times, and they really, really got big. Some of them so big that the garden looked misproportioned, so I started taking things out. The next thing you know, I have holes in the garden, and yeah, I did the classic, let's pop some things in there. And I also was like, hey, a milkweed started. Let's leave that there because then the monarchs will have some place to lay their eggs, and then I'll have the eggs and the caterpillars will hatch and they'll eat the milkweed, and won't that be cool? No, it wasn't cool. That milkweed was going everywhere, through my shrubs, through my perennials, and this just wasn't the right place for it. So last year we pulled a lot of stuff out, and I'll probably be pulling that milkweed for the next 3 years, and I'm just going to be catching it as it's little because it spreads underground and it's still everywhere, and I've probably been pulling it well since spring began, and I'll probably continue to pull it, but I'll deal with that as it comes up. But what we did was we dug up a lot of things and we moved them into a holding bed. We made the path wider. I'll link the video below. You can check that out. Then I did a design in December. I'll link that video below as well. And now we're ready to put it in. So that's just a little bit of background and history. Let's talk about what I'm going to put in the bed. This is a picture of the design that I did in December. I really like the design. I'm going to keep to most of what's going on in this design, but I am making a few changes. When I took the picture of the garden bed, it was December and everything was dormant, and I didn't know how some of the things that I left in the bed but I had cut back in the fall were going to look when they came back up. I didn't know if I was going to pull more out or leave in what I left. And I decided to leave in what I left with the exception of some asters that I totally forgot were there. I'm going to leave the yarrow that I had, the coreopsis. I left a big patch of that, and then some of the sedum. Now in this design, you can see the spireas, the alliums, the veronica, the heuchera. I am going to leave a lot of that in the design. Let's take an inventory of where we're at in the bed right now. So I am leaving the boxwood, and I am going to leave this bird's nest spruce and this one. In the middle of that right there, we used to have a big yew, and I already took that out. This is my ginkgo tree. I love this tree. It's doing really well. I'm leaving it there as the centerpiece in my bed. As we swing down this way, you can see that we do have some ground cover sedum growing here, and I did leave a patch of the Zagreb coreopsis, and I like the way this is coming in. I'm just going to have to pay attention to it so the patch doesn't get as big as it was. I like it this size. Now we did have daisies in here. We pulled all of those out, but behind the Zagreb we have some coronation gold yarrow. Now I have a yellow on a yellow, see, and then another yellow. So I forgot this guy was here, but isn't this glorious? This is the best this has ever looked because that sand cherry used to be right here and I dug it out, and the sand cherry would kind of shade this and get in its way. So look at how awesome this looks. This is Baptisia, and this one here is the solar flare. I think this thing is glorious. I just love this. Now in my design, I had a blue globe spruce down here. I think I'm still gonna put the blue globe spruce in. I think I'm just gonna move it down here though. But I can't put it in until I move all of the items that are in that temporary holding bed. That's what's down there right now. So that will just have to wait. Because this is clay and the blue globe spruce needs good drainage, I need to backfill that area with a mix of dirt and compost so that it will have good drainage and survive. But see, we're still gonna put the alliums in right here. Instead of a soft serve fall cypress, I got a gold tipped arborvitae that we're gonna put here. We are still gonna do the spireas along the back. And then we're gonna do some heuchera up here and some veronica through here. But then we still have a big hole right here. I think I'm gonna do a bird bath there. And then I also wanna swing around this way, and I need to find something taller to put right here that will break up some of this yellow. So I think I might do some penstemon in there, some darker foliaged ones. I think that will look really good. So all in all, I think we're ready to do the revamp. So let's see what cultivars I'm putting in this. I decided I didn't like the placement of 4 spireas in there. They just didn't fit where I needed them to fit. I felt like they were running into my bird's nest spruce. So I pulled one out and I only placed 3. I started off by placing the first one in the middle of the 2 bird's nest spruce. So they're about 3 feet away from each of those spruces. Then I planted the other ones 8 feet away from the spirea. So one is a little bit forward, the one in between the 2 bird's nest spruce, and the other 2 are back a little bit. I don't know if you can see all 3 of them in there or not, but I got 3 of them in there instead of the 4, and the 4th one I'm just gonna take back. Now, I ended up using the double play doozy by Proven Winners. This is a smaller spirea. I like it. It only gets 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, so it's not a very big spirea, and it's seedless. And when they're seedless, that means 1, they won't spread, and 2, it means they bloom their heads off. So this gets like a hot pink flower on it, and the foliage, when it comes up in the spring, it has a red hue to it on the tips of the leaves, and then they turn that beautiful green. I really like this spirea. I really like most of the Proven Winner spireas. They've come a long ways in developing the spirea so they're not all rangy and leggy and, you know, just 2-story where you've got the flowers and the leaves on the top and the bottoms die out on you. I really like their spirea. So we're gonna put the 3 in. Double play doozy. Next to my Coreopsis zagreb, which I really like this flower. It's so pretty and delicate. I've decided to do the 3 alliums. Now I'm doing the Millennium. These usually bloom right around the end of July into a little bit of August. They've got a fairly long bloom time, anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. The foliage on these always looks really good. Now these grow in zone 5 through 8. They get about 12 to 15 inches high and wide. And I think this purple in here is really gonna help break up some of this yellow. And then I think if I put the dark foliage of the penstemon behind this and the purple flowers on that, that'll look really good. So by the time the Coreopsis and the, what is this? Oh, it's yarrow. And the yarrows start to bloom. This baptisia will be done, so I don't have to worry about so much yellow. This one just looks like a big bush when it's done, but oh, it's all in its glory right now. But I really like alliums. They look good all the time. The foliage comes up really early in the spring, and it has that nice strappy foliage. So this right here, I think, is gonna look really good. I love the pairing of this heuchera with this veronica. I think it is gorgeous. Now I have chosen to do the Primo Wild Rose by Proven Winners, and it has a very large leaf on it once it gets going, and it's got like this dark charcoal veining. The stems that come up are burgundy, and then it has these rosy pink flowers over the top of it. These guys only get about 10 inches tall, but they can get 2 feet wide. So absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait for them to get bigger and fill this whole space in. But next to the veronica, huh, I think they're awesome. Here's my Veronica. I have chosen to do royal candles. I really like this one. I think it's really super pretty. I have it in the back garden as well. I use it a lot in landscaping. It's really super pretty. Now they bloom for a really long time. This one grows in zone 4 through 8, and they get 15 inches high and anywhere from 12 to 18 inches wide. So I want these to kind of all grow together in a big mass. It's going to look absolutely stunning in 3 years when they all grow together. Now, the one thing I want to do when Veronica are done is cut back the flowers to the base foliage. So that means to about like right there, and then they'll reflush again and bloom a second time for me later in the summer. So I love that about it as well. And I love this big batch of purple right here in the 2 different hues. I did decide to put in a gold-tipped arborvitae here. Now, I picked this up at the nursery because I couldn't find a soft serve that was big enough that I really liked or that looked really good when I was at the wholesalers. I saw this one, I went, oh my gosh, I love this. And I don't remember the name of it. I'll put it up on the screen when I edit. I'll look up the invoice. But this is one of those gold-tipped arborvitaes, and it only gets 12 to 15 feet tall and 3 feet wide. So it's pulled away from the house, but it's going to be absolutely glorious here. I love this one. Oh, that did it for me. I decided to use Dark Towers. Now this one grows in zone 3 through 8, and it's blooming in June, like towards the end of June into July. Now it's blooming right now because it's in a pot, and when they're in the pots, they always bloom earlier. This has got deep red wine foliage, and it's really sensational. It's got light pink blooms that contrast against that foliage. They're gonna get 30 to 36 inches high, so 3 feet. That's a good height. And then they're going to be 30 inches wide. So I just grabbed 3 to kind of fill in back there. Oh, I love it. Check out my Sedona bowl. It is totally filling in. So far, I've fertilized it twice. Isn't this great? Look at that Ray Black petunia in there with the other petunia that's called Headliner Light Pink Sky. Oh, absolutely stunning. And then that center is a Silver Swirl Dusty Miller. So I hope that those get taller. The tag says that they will get, 12 inches tall. So I hope that they do, because that will be so stunning. Isn't that great? Look at that next to the purple Veronica and the heuchera. Love it. I love the way this is turning out. It's looking so good. And so the alliums are here, the penstemon back here, and I did end up moving one a little bit that way. And I know that they're gonna fit because the yarrow is full grown, the baptisia is full grown, so I don't have to worry about them getting bigger. So these will fit in here really super nice. You're gonna have the red foliage in the spring on the spirea with the hot pink blooms later. Then we've got our bird's nest spruce, another spirea. I went and got a bird bath that we'll put right there. Then we've got the beautiful Veronica, our Sedona bowl with our heuchera down here, and then another spirea at the end. And that's it. That's all I'm putting in this bed. I do have a patch of asters right here. And I think for now, I'm going to leave them in here and see how they do. And then if I don't like the way they're looking, I'll dig them out and put something else in. But for now, I'm going to leave them. But I am going to put that bird bath right there, forward and then in between the 2 bird's nest spruce. So right now, I'm loving everything about this bed. Let's get it planted. Now I'm sure that you saw when I was digging those holes how the clay just comes out in big old clumps. And what I'm going to have to do is try to break some of that down and pack it down around the root so that I get good root to soil contact. I do not backfill with a different soil. And the reason I do this is because this has to grow in this clay. So I don't want to have one medium that it's doing all great in, and then it hits the clay and then it freaks out and then maybe I lose it. So whatever the native soil is, that's what I've always done in this bed. It seems to work really well, and that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna have to break some of those big clumps up into smaller pieces and then stomp around it. My shoes will be all muddy and everything when I'm done, but that's kind of how I do it. Now the other thing I am gonna do though is I am gonna fertilize. Now I'm gonna fertilize with a Biotone starter fertilizer from Espoma. Now this is an organic fertilizer, so I can put it right in the hole. It's pretty mild. Biotone is basically a starter fertilizer that you can use. Around my shrubs or in the hole for my shrubs, I'm probably going to put a half a cup, and then in the perennial holes, maybe a quarter cup. If you're using a synthetic fertilizer, which means it's a chemical, do not, and I repeat, do not throw that fertilizer in the hole. Sprinkle that around the outside of your plant after you get it planted. Read the instructions for how much you should be sprinkling around the outside, and then you water it in. If you throw a synthetic fertilizer in the hole, you will burn the roots, and more times than not, you will kill your plant that way. So don't confuse, when you're doing an organic right in the hole with a synthetic that never goes in the hole. I want to make sure I make that clear. One of the things I wanted to show you. So I put all of the plants in the holes and I haven't filled them in yet. One of the things that you want to do is you do not want to plant your plants any lower than they are in the pot right now. In fact, when I plant mine, see how I'm just a little bit higher than the ground? And the reason I'm doing that is because I know, one, I'm going to backfill, and two, I'm going to mulch this, so it's going to be a little bit higher. You do not want to bury them low in the ground. When you bury them low in the ground, they rot and they don't have good drainage, especially in clay soil. So I always plant just a little bit high. Now, the other thing is you can make your hole, as wide as you want. Just don't make it crazy deep. Now, everything I'm planting in here is a clay buster, so it's all supposed to be able to grow in the clay. So I shouldn't have any issues, but I'm hedging my bets, planting them just a little bit high so they drain off, and I've got room to put mulch around them. I'm going to do is put down a pre-emergent. I use a product called Snapshot. A pre-emergent stops new weed seed from germinating, and I guarantee you, every single time I put the shovel in the ground and turn soil, I turn dormant weed seed with it. Now, this is a synthetic chemical, so it's your choice to use it or not. I choose to use it because it makes my life so much easier. It doesn't stop every weed in the whole entire world, but I guarantee you, it stops a lot of them, and it makes it so that my weeding in my bed doesn't get out of control. And I'm just going to sprinkle it. It lasts for about 75 days. You have to water it in. I do have rain coming later this afternoon, so I always like to do it right before it rains. I've already done that half of the garden. I did it when I did the rest of the beds, but I did not do this half because I knew I was going to be planting, so I'm going to get this down now. All right, let's take a look. This thing is turning out to be nicer than I thought it was going to be. We've got our 3 spireas back there flanking the wall. I love the bird bath in there. I love the combination of this veronica with the heuchera. I just think it is so pretty. Even the other side being cleaned up looks really nice. And I am going to put some annuals in. I have a pocket right here. I have a pocket right here. And then I like to put some cleomes along the edge there. Oh, let's go look at our peony. This is Sarah Bernhardt. Aren't they gorgeous? I just think that this is such a nice peony. Okay, let's look at it this way. Here's the other side. Oh, I just love this. I think it turned out so nice. And then I know that things are in 2 different phases of growth. I've got some new and some established. But in 2 years, this will be 100% exactly what I want it to be. Oh, I'm so happy that this is done. I am loving everything about this bed. I just think it's turning out exactly how I envisioned it. I love the bird bath. I love the Veronica. I think the spireas are going to be absolutely fabulous once they grow up a little bit bigger. I am done with this bed. Well, the jury's still out on the asters, and I'll make that decision this fall as to whether or not to leave them in or take them out. But I like everything I did on that side of the bed. And check, I can say another one's done. Now, I am going to put some annuals on the other side of the path. I have some cleomes that I want to put in and some petunias. That will give me some flower power in here. I haven't 100% decided what I'm doing on the other side. I might not do anything. I might leave it just the way it is and then just always plant annuals in here. But for me, I am so glad that this garden is finally done. Enough that I can sit on the porch and enjoy it again. So I'm Michelle. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. I hope you get in your garden today. Bye, everybody.